Well, hello, and welcome back to Citizen Sleeper 2. We are going to the stranded rig here today. Yes, we're definitely going. And let's take both of them. They're fresh out of stress. They got lots of skills. Filled, let's go. Off we get. We have everything we could possibly need. Keep your hands where I can see them. A voice crackles over the open channel of your suit comms as you near the stranded rig. You slow your approach a little as you move towards the ship, its shape lumpy and skeletal in the distant light of the sun. A warm welcome. Bodes well for the rest of the job. Bliss shoots you a concerned look. You look at the stranded ship ahead. Clearly, they're feeling a bit exposed. We're here to help. Well, I figured that, the voice retorts. Otherwise, I would have put a hole in that shiny rig of yours already. You arrive at the side of the rig, inspecting the damage as you do. Half the hull plating and big chunks of the internal structure seem to be missing, but you have a feeling that this is not what you're here to fix. The airlock opens and you move inside. The interior, all exposed wires and metal framework. The systems wheeze and shudder as it cycles. Nothing of value here, so if you're looking to steal something, you're welcome to it. Alma greets you plainly inside the rig. You do the work that's needed, and I'll let you take your half of the haul. Straight to business, I see. Ain't that what you're here for? Your voice is placid and unchanging as a rock. If you were expecting a tea party, you're sorely disappointed. Here's the short of it. Engine's conked out on me, and I'm no engineer. Can usually get her going, but this time no dice. She looks between you and the rest of the crew. Surprised there's so many of you, to be honest. Bliss smiles sympathetically. Sorry about that, but don't worry. I've worked on these engines before. They gave Alma a wink. I can handle this. Don't be so sure. Alma leads you towards the engine room, the layout of her rig much the same as yours. This girl's the sensitive type. You need to know how to handle her. The central corridor of the ship snakes in a way that isn't familiar to you, and you realize this rig is far more heavily modified than your own, something that becomes all the more obvious when you arrive in the engine room. Rather than the rig's stock engine, a singular block and double turbine, which feeds lines between them. Alma's engine is a mess of piping and feed lines, linking up multiple raw components welded into the interior frame of the room. Your eyes widen at the sight. Been adding to her since I was young. Alma smiles at the chaos. Might look like a mess, but she purrs when she's running. Bliss is shaking their head slowly. Oh, Sleeper. They let out a puff of air. This is going to be special. You struggle to tell if they're intimidated or impressed. Perhaps it's a little bit of both. That's about all of it. Alma gestures to the exploded engine. Get her running and you'll get your half of the haul. What's the haul? Alma glides over to a window set in the side of the engine room and points to the corroded remains of a facility deep in the asteroid's loose, dusty surface. There's the hull. She taps on the glass. As good a find as I've seen. A hull is a building? Building and all that's in it. Alma screws up her face. What, you too good for scrapping? By rights, that building's mine. Scrapper's claim. Alma scratches at her mess of hair. But you helped me get her running, and you're welcome to take what you want from it. Up to a maximum of 50% of raw mass, that is. We have to extract it ourselves? That's not what we expected. She looks you up and down, and you feel the first acknowledgement of you being a sleeper. I doubt it'll trouble one of you. Anyway, you're leaving with nothing unless my girl here is back in shape by the time you're done. She folds her arms across her chest. So get to it. You turn back to the engine, your eyes tracing the madness of the interlocking systems. You're starting to have the horrible feeling that this contract is some kind of elaborate joke. Okay, so first priority, gotta get the rig running, then on to the ruined facility. This requires engineering, good, which we are both capable of. Oh, we cracked the die at the worst possible time. Okay. And this facility. Oh, which I can help with. Component search, gather scrap. Okay, cool. Well, why don't we Okay, you start over here, 100% positive. Let's get that done. Good, that's 2. And then you can do this one for sure. That's 2, good. I'll do this one. Then I'll do this one. Oh, we're almost done. And then this one, there's a chance of badness. Ah, we didn't hit it. Yes. Okay, and then we've got 1 glitched dice, 1 terrible die, and 1 okay die. Let's risk it. Let's just get this done on day 1. Yes. Love to see it. You all gather in Alma's rig to see the engine tested. The engine room purrs and chitters. Seems to warm with the sound of the engine, with the polyrhythmic vibrations that rattle through the open framework of the interior. You look over to Alma and you see her eyes are closed, a small tremble at the corner of her mouth. You look at the engine, Alma's engine, an object that you have come to respect over the past cycles, even if you haven't necessarily grown to love it. It is, as you see it now, a difficult thing to love. Whole parts of it make little sense. And its oldest systems, those now bypassed and made obsolete by newer additions, still somehow play an integral role you don't understand. It is unwieldy and unnecessarily so, and the accumulation of parts and patches from its long service makes it surprisingly fragile. Meanwhile, other sections have been welded and re-welded so many times that they are impregnable and will never be able to replace. It is uncooperative and prone to sudden outbursts of cooling fluid or even fuel. It's restless, will begin to leak when left idle for too long. It's always too cold or too hot thanks to the coolant and the fuel, and it's hard to predict which it will be at any given moment. And yet, despite all this, it's an object you feel close to, that you feel a kinship with, because in the end, you too are an accumulation of broken parts, long outliving their operational limits. You too are a machine that has become a story, and a story that has grown beyond the ability of others to understand it. You look over to Alma again, and Bliss is there beside her. You can see they're talking, but with the engine running, you cannot hear them. You watch for a moment. Bliss is now patiently listening as, in faltering words, Alma explains something to them. Bliss nods, and then suddenly they embrace, gently and with care. Bliss pushes back, and as soon as the moment has passed, it seemed like it might not have happened at all. Nothing in the two figures' attitudes betrays the act, and the room seems unchanged. You try to remember if you've seen them speaking before now, but you recall there are many moments where you were not with Bliss. As you watch Alma approach, you realize the engine is not just special to you, and that between her and Bliss, it might have been the bridge to a unique kind of respect. That's the job, Sleeper. Alma approaches you from the other side of the room, and you know where the payment's to be found. I believe that brings our business to an end. Alma scratches at her hair. Unless you've something to add. What do you do now? What brought you here? Scrap tends to bring scrappers to the places they visit, she sniffs. I knew there's scrap to be found here. Sadly, I didn't know that my engine was about to take a turn for the worse. I appreciate the assistance. You're welcome to take what you want from the hangar, if you haven't already. You see a knowing shimmer in her eyes. Now I must kindly ask you to leave my ship. As the airlock cycles, you look across at Bliss and swear you see a tear in their eye. What'd she say? Bliss turns to you as if they forgot you were there. She just reminded me of why I do what I do. Why I fix things. They look ahead. There's beauty in it. You find yourself drifting away from Alma's rig in a haze of thoughts. It's clear to you at this point that Alma's history is written all over this place. But more than that, well, you can't be sure. This story, it seems, isn't for you. You realize as you gaze at the broken remains of the facility that Alma never took any of her half of the haul. You turn back and squint at the cockpit of her rig. You see her there, looking out across this wasteland, still as a statue. It's an image that, as you load into the rig and begin the preparations to depart, will stick with you. One that every time you enter the engine room of your ship, a room almost identical to the engine room of Alma's rig, will leap into your mind. A woman, floating above the wreck of what was once her home, looking for a reason to keep going. Oh, wow, our contract is complete. Let's grab our stuff and get. All right. So, if we go here, there's a chance he might get something or a little bit of stress. He got something. Some raw materials. Okay. And then, it doesn't matter if we go here or here. So we might as well get some raw materials. Yeah, we got some stress instead. Cool. Let's get some more dice, please. Oh, terrible dice. Just the worst. Sheesh. Okay, fine. We'll come over here. We'll do this. Yeah, raw materials. Good. Garbage. All right, and then we'll do this one. Hidden treasures. And we should probably do this one as well. A little bit of stress, a little bit of hidden treasures. All right, and then actually let's push. We're going to push. And if we do this one again and we get the positive outcome, we'll lose some stress. Yes? Oh, we gained more stress. Terrible. Hate it. All right. We're going to try and brute force this, though. Because we've got a little bit of stress. Yeah, we got 2 more there, and we'll have it. And 2 more here, and we'll have it? No. 3 more here still. Okay, so do I want to try and do this and get another stress? I might as well. Always a chance we can get another stress. Great. Love to see it. All right, we're cracking more dice. Let's go. Gonk. Yeah, we cracked 2 dice. 2 of them. Utter garbage. Utter unmitigated garbage. All right, you do this. Oh, 3. Okay. Can you do it by yourself, please? I don't want to get more stress. There we go. I'm as surprised as you are. Yeah, and you do this one. You rest a moment, taking a break from dragging the plates you've cut across the asteroid surface. You find yourself looking up towards Alma's rig, still there on the edge of the crater, and wonder if she's watching. With her engine fixed, you half expected her to leave immediately, but she remains there on the horizon, unable to leave this place. As if in response, your comms channel buzzes. A nice pile you got there, Alma announces herself in the open channel. We'll make scrappers of you kids yet. That scrap will earn you a pretty penny if you know what you're doing, she continues. Holm's rock always a good place to offload. I'll give you that for free. You look at the stack of ragged, torch-cut plates as they're loaded up into the rig's cargo hold, and you have to admit, you do feel a little pride at the work done. Thanks. You earned it. You glance over your shoulder at the cockpit of Alma's rig, where you can see her watching. What is this place? There's a click in the open channel as it closes, and Alma seems to take a moment to consider her response. She clears her throat. How about you tell me what you think, Sleeper? A signal station. Ha! Sounds like a mystery story. Alma coughs and splutters. No, nothing as interesting as secret communiques were coming out of this place when I was still alive. When it was still alive. Alma goes quiet for a moment, but you wait, getting the feeling there's still more to be said. See the old arrays on the far side? You turn and look up the rock towards the broken frames and panels you can just make out in the dust, catching the sun's weak light. Those were the first priority. Get power running. Recharge the cells for the evacuators, the welders. Turn the scrap into something livable. She falters and coughs. Look at them now. You see the tumble-down collection of plates. They look like they were scattered by a careless hand, discarded without much thought. The comms channel clicks off, and you see the distant silhouette of Alma drift from view out of the cockpit of her rig. You turn back to see that the scrap has been loaded onto the ship. Your half of the haul, though you suspect this place is more than just a haul to Alma. Okay, there we go. Engine components, raw scrap. There's a hiss and a rush of stale air as the sealed bay deep in the facility's tunnels opens for the first time in years. The beams of your suit lamps reach into the dark, picking out waves of dust and debris. They reveal a small bay, big enough for a shuttle, but not a rig like yours. As you glide inside, those same beams catch at the frame of something that sits at the center of the bay. It's wide and flat, with a cylindrical section that runs its length. As you move around it, looking at the sections of plates and open frame, you realize it's a ship. Or at least it was. This frame, filled with rusted components and partially covered with old hull plates, suggests a fast ship, an arrowhead designed to cut through debris and even atmosphere. You float up a little to see into its central cylinder, and your lamps reveal a cockpit outfitted for 2 people. One sat behind the other. The seats are carefully upholstered, and you realize this was a labor of love. The whole ship, in fact, seems built by hand. A custom model with little function out here beyond looping around asteroids for the thrill of it. Looking closer, brushing away the surface corrosion, you see flames painted on the hull plates in curling patterns. The brush strokes visible even after what must be many years. As you inspect the half-finished ship, a sense of quiet wonder keeping you silent, you notice a glint towards its rear. You approach it and see an engine, all interlocking tubes and flared vents. It's unlike any you have ever seen, but the holes in its side suggest it may never have been finished. Those holes are the source of the glint. You reach in and pull out some strange-looking engine components, each pristine and complex. You hesitate for a moment, suddenly feeling like you shouldn't be disturbing such an intimate object. But it occurs to you that nothing would please the person who built the ship more than seeing these handmade components put to use. You secure them to your suit and push away from the ship. As you leave the bay, you turn and take one last look at the treasure inside. It's possible that it never flew. Or perhaps it was in the middle of an extensive refit when this place was abandoned. Either way, its flying years have long since passed, and now with the bay open, it will corrode much faster, melding with the animized scrap of this place in mere cycles. You suppress a shiver, and then start the journey back up to the surface, aware of the components dangling at your side. More of these. Perfect. Why would it corrode faster? It wouldn't corrode faster. It would be fine. It would be absolutely and totally wonderfully fine. Anyway, in vacuum, it would be fine. It would be fine. It would be fine. Well, we got rid of some stress. We still have some dice to use, though, so that's good. Integration officers, all Taki. The narrow escape. Okay, we can buy a meal. We've got plenty of energy, though. We don't have a ship mind. We can get more fuel. We don't really need to get more fuel. Okay, so we can do flotsam maintenance and get a bunch, probably, of money. We've got engine components, though no place to use them. Old Taki. Work the hydroponics. We don't have... Okay, what does this get us? Working the hydroponics gets us 8 cryo and a little bit of energy. Whereas doing this, flotsam integration gets us 8 cryo and raw scrap. Ooh. Whereas this gets us, if we get the positive count, 8 cryo. So that was the neutral outcome. Okay. Oh, another 8 cryo. Okay. So not a terribly good money sink. But now that we're here, we can go to Holm's Rock, Hellion Gate, or the Far Spindle. I think we should go to Holm's Rock. I think we are about done here until we get other things. We've gotten some this, we finished that. We could probably take another turn and maybe fix some stuff. But I think all we'd get is just more scrap, so we might as well just move on. Sleeper. Bliss speaks quietly from the door at the back of the cockpit. Can we talk? You glance over at Seraphin, his head back and eyes closed while the rig cuts through empty space. You don't seem to be needed here. You unclip from your harness and follow Bliss. How are you doing? Bliss glances over her shoulder as they drift towards the back of the ship. The question takes you aback. You can't remember the last time anyone had actually asked with real intention how you were. Better than I was. Bliss shoots you a look. That's a good way of thinking about it, I guess. But to be honest, Sleeper, I'm not sure how you're still standing. Breaking out of Darkside, then again in Hexport, those things take a toll. Bliss turns a corner. It's okay to give yourself space to feel that. Bliss leads you off to the main corridor into the workshop. They set up where they repaired the ship. It's small, but its neatly arranged tools and sloped walls help it feel cozy and tucked away. You see improvements everywhere, new tools and equipment. Bliss notices you looking at the upgraded setup. I told you it'd be worth taking along. You didn't give us much choice. Looking at this place, it's a good thing I didn't, they shrug. Anyway, I didn't bring you here just to brag. They pause, or at least not just to brag. They suddenly glance away, the atmosphere in the room shifting. I can see your body is showing the strain, Sleeper. I brought you here so we could do something about that. They beckon you towards the workbench where you both settle into stools. They flick on a small light and aim it at your arm. Bliss gently cradles your arm, turning it to inspect the underside. You see tears and holes in the vinyl skin and dark, moving things beneath. Watch the work. You look as Bliss brings the light closer to the biggest tear, and it glints off the metallic tendons in your forearm. Below them, you see something more fluid and wet catching the light. You know, you aren't the first Sleeper I've met. Bliss talks while they inspect the rest of your arm. I actually partnered with one of my old repair bay on the eye. Feels like 100,000 cycles ago now, but I remember them. Their precise work, their quiet enthusiasm, there was something calming about their presence. Bliss swaps to your other arm. They were different to you, just like one person is different to another, I suppose. But I can't help but remember that time. I was a different person then, that's for sure. They meet your eye. I'm going through something of a transformation myself. How's that going? Bliss lays both your arms down and leans forward to inspect your upper chest, adjusting the light. I was pretending before, I think, to be the person I was expected to be. They press along the hard protrusion of your clavicle. There were so many calculations I was making, so many corrections. How I held myself, how I spoke, how I reacted. They push gently against each of your metallic ribs one at a time. I didn't realize how tired I was until They stop and sit back. Until I gave up. I came here to the belt with someone else, and when I did, I realized this was my chance to become something new. So I let go of everything. They look away. It was messy, ugly, and the person I came here with, I let them go too. I was punching out at everything because it felt like everything was holding me back, stopping me for the change I was owed. Don't worry, they smile weakly. I'm calmer now. I'm not about to explode on you or anything. It's still a difficult process, but it feels like shedding 100 suffocating skins that you spent half your life putting on one by one. They meet your eye. It feels like an escape. They lean forward again and check the skin of your shoulders, where it's worn and faded. You let them. The atmosphere quiet but calm in the workshop. A feeling of solidarity growing somewhere in your frame. Not bad, Sleeper. You're holding up well, given everything. Bliss folds their arms in front of them protectively. But I'm still concerned. There's some decline to your system functions. Let's keep an eye out for components. Thanks, Bliss. It's no problem. They release from the stool and drift over to the rack of tools. I owe you for jolting me out of whatever my life had become on the far spindle. You leave Bliss to their workshop, feeling reassured that you have them here on the ship. As you do, you think of your relationship to your own body, this frame that you were forced into that has never quite felt like your own. You realize that this feeling is not unique to you. No one gets to choose their body. Everyone has to contend with the entropy of their flesh. And in that realization, you suddenly feel less alone. Lumpen and cratered, Holm's rock floats on the sunward side of the belt. Its only notable feature, the bright shapes of its solar arrays angled toward the system's distant star. Can't even dock the rig here. Seraphin nods at the bright shape of Holm's Rock's lone docking bay. Won't fit. We'll have to park here and go out the airlock. He seems repulsed by the idea. We do that every contract. You do that every contract. Seraphin leans back into a seat. I've got used to sitting them out. Barely seems worth the trip down, Bliss speaks up from the back of the cockpit. You never know. I guess, Bliss yawns, but don't expect to turn up any jobs all the way out here. I'll come down later. Don't feel like squeezing into a suit right now. Bliss gives a lazy wave as they glide out of the cockpit. Eugen pokes his head into the cockpit. That rock down there got a bar? He looks between you and Seraphin. No idea, Seraphin laughs. Sighs. Looks dead. Eugen squints out the cockpit windows. I see a few warm lights. He shrugs. I bet there's a bar. He disappears in the direction of the airlock. You gaze out over Holm's Rock, but it certainly doesn't look very exciting. But there's refueling to be done, and maybe more besides. You might even be able to scare up a hot meal. You know, Sleeper, that Lodic freighter means we aren't far from Wellspring. Seraphin gives you a sideways glance. Your sister, I haven't forgotten. All right then, Seraphin smiles. Appreciate it. I heard the pressure of the war in the inner system is having an effect on how the Lodic Syndicate's being run. Just want to get there before something big goes down. He turns back to his console. You look out at the Lodic freighter, painted the same distinctive yellow as the springtide back in the far spindle. You've heard they supply most of the water in the belt, not exactly an organization you want to collapse. A light catches your eye beyond the rock. A warm flash that's gone as soon as it appears. You are at the sunward edge here, and beyond is the inner system. Holm's Rock might look sleepy, but it lies on the shores of a corporate war, something residents will be painfully aware of. Okay, not really a whole lot going on here. There's the rig. We do need to get our dice back and check to see what we got going on here. It looks to be just the same. Even though Bliss said that they were going to try to fix things and upgrade stuff. Doesn't look like we got a whole lot of upgrades. Maybe there's something else. Okay, odd jobs. We get cryo. Yeah, let's do that for right now. We've got to go explore. Got to go explore. This is risky. We can barter with the locals. Let's do this. For sure. No place like Holm. New location discovered. There, okay, there's the Lodic freighter. So we can help offload the freight. Or we can buy fuel. We can fill the fuel for 54. Eesh. Okay. Come on. 2. Just one. Anything? Nothing? Okay, I think one more, and then we'll use this one to hopefully get rid of a little bit of stress. No place like Holm. New location discovered. Perfect. Oh, the rest. We can buy a meal for 15, sell engine components. It's not the best use of these valuable items, but 35 cryo is a pittance, but Cena will broker sale to a passing crew in need of repairs. We can buy supplies, we can fill supplies. Okay, cool. Oh, that's expensive. That is quite expensive. Nope, don't like it. Let's get rid of some stress, please. Come on. Get rid of stress. Recovery fit. Okay, new cycle. No ones, please. We broke one. And we don't have the stuff to be able to fix it. No, we don't. Okay, let's try to get rid of some stress. Glitch dice, 20% chance. No. Well, we can at least finish this. We just need 3. Let's see what we get here. And then we'll have 1 extra left over to do whatever's needed. In Holm's Rock, it's impossible to get away from the feeling of living, working, and eating in a ruin. Most of the belt is built on top of the remains of Solheim's infrastructure, but there are plenty of places where the modifications or extensions to those structures eclipse the original foundation. In Holm's Rock, it's the reverse. The station is a small warm patch at the center of a network of tunnels and bays that stretch within the rock, most of them dark, damp, and wrecked. A sprawling foundation that will never be built upon. Ever so often, gliding on your way between Siena's Rest and the Suncatchers, or from the docks to the depot, you find yourself in one of these dark tunnels. That's where you are now. You float, stopped at a 4-way intersection, no light visible down any tunnel. Oh no, it's a maze. Okay, we're going to treat it like a labyrinth. We're going to go right. You glide right into a narrow passage with pipes running along its walls. One of them rumbles with a soft current. What could be flowing here? You arrive at another crossroads, but one of the tunnels has collapsed and is blocked with dust and rock. Go right. You kick off gently from the wall and head into a cylindrical passage clad with panels that hold back the rock. It's wider than the others, and here and there little droplets of water float undisturbed. At the far end, you see a faint point of light, the warm glow of a lit passage. Suddenly you hear a rustling in the dark, and a shrill sound that you can't place. There's something out there. Oh, rush through or turn back? We should probably turn back, but I'm gonna rush through and just get the neutral outcome. Cool. You kick off hard and glide through the tunnel, feeling a few droplets of water gently splatter on your skin. You shake off the fear as you move. The dark doesn't scare you. Then it hits you. Something solid and meaty slamming into your stomach and spinning away. You press off the wall and push on as a shrill wail echoes behind you in the dark. What was that? When you reach the lit passage beyond, you turn back, but the tunnel is silent and still. You continue on, but you can't shake the feeling of being followed as you ascend back up through the station. Perhaps next time you'll take a different route. Oh, fun! The sealed bay. Unseal the bay. Oh, we need some data, do we? Okay, well, if we get data, we can go there. What is this? Suncatchers. Fix broken arrays. Sell raw scrap. The Suncatchers need constant supply of scrap for repairs and construction. Holm Rock saves most of its income for this. All right, so how much do we get for one? 13? That doesn't seem like a lot. That doesn't seem like a lot at all. Debug the array system. Solar arrays of homes keep back the settlement viable, but their systems are old, and the residents pay for an outsider to inspect them. Okay. So, we can work, we can sell stuff, we can buy stuff. Not really a whole lot going on here. Sell engine components, buy a meal, fill supplies. Yeah, not really a whole lot going on at this particular juncture. Do we have any? We do not. So this is just sort of a stop-off point to get us up to Wellspring, looks like. Yeah, vast water extraction facility. That looks like what we're supposed to do. Okay, so we got one more die. We should probably use it on this. Nine cryo. That's it. That's the whole thing. 9 cryo over here. Wow. So like this is the only thing to do. And in order to do that, we've got to go collect Solheim data. Fun. Okay. Well, I think what we're going to do is I think we're going to call this an episode. Next time when we come back, we'll come up here to Wellspring. We'll look for the sister. We'll find some stuff. And then we'll start working our way down this way. Yes, because there's some good stuff over here. The Greenbelt, Hollow, Scatter Yards, on to Darkside. I'm assuming at some point we're hitting Darkside again. And once we're there, things might have to heat up. Yes, very good. We'll explore that next time when we come back here on the BackLog. I'll play it again later.